My name is Joan Turner, and I am the Community Outreach Coordinator for the Suffolk Commonwealth Attorney's Office. I ended in that role because in 1996, I was the first ever crime scene investigator with the Suffolk Police Department. In 2012, I worked a few death investigations that really got to me mentally, and I thought that I need to search for another outreach program, and the Suffolk Commonwealth Attorney's Office had that particular position available. I applied and I received that position. So from 2012 to presently, I'm still there as their community outreach coordinator. I wanted to always be a pharmacist, and for me, thinking that I wanted to take care of people and make them healthy and happy, I end up into forensics. And the way I end up in forensics, because while I was at Virginia State, there was a career day, and I went into the gymnasium and we had this big career day, and there was this gentleman who came, it was actually a black male who actually spoke to us about working for the FBI. And I thought, FBI, not me, not little Joan from little country Suffolk. So I applied for the position as a typist because I could type like 75 words per minute, and they hired me. And when I got to FBI headquarters, I found out that there was a class that you can take for 10 months. A test was given every week. It had to be 95 to 100% accurate, and that test was on fingerprints. And so I learned all about the history of fingerprints, how to determine whose fingerprints belong to who, and the differences in fingerprints. And so while I was there, I took the class, I passed it, and I became a fingerprint examiner. I stayed there for 3.5 years, and I came back home. And when I came back home, Newport News needed a fingerprint examiner. And I started there, and finally after a year, they needed another crime scene investigator. I applied at that position, and that was actually the first black ever as a crime scene investigator with the city of Newport News as well. In Newport News, I paved that way for a young black male to actually become the next crime scene investigator after I left. And it was nice to see that. And in Suffolk, it was just nice to actually be the first ever, and I did it for 7 years by myself. And it was good to be able to do that because I wanted people in the city to see how in-depth every crime scene was, whether it was a burglary, a robbery, a death investigation, or an assault of some kind. So I just wanted people to understand that it's not what you see on TV, and it takes hours to actually process that entire scene. So I was happy to be able to do that, and a lot of people would come to me and say congratulations, and I wasn't sure why, but it wasn't to me a congratulatory thing. It was just something that I fell in love with, and I was hoping that even the youth coming up behind me would consider such a field. And now forensics in this city has become a big deal. After 7 years of me working crime scenes, all crime scenes by myself, along with the help of the detectives, the city came up with funds where we could hire 2 additional people. I became the supervisor, and 3 years later we hired 2 more. So still today they have 1 supervisor and 4 crime scene technicians who respond to all crime scenes within the city. Quantez Russell, and Quantez is my son. Quantez grew up here in the city of Suffolk. He attended elementary, middle, and high school here. He did not complete his senior year. He finished his 11th grade year at Lakeland High School. Quantez played basketball. He loved animals and he loved people. However, Quantez made some choices that I tried to tell both youth and parents and grandparents to look out for. Those things that I was not aware of. Things like the change in color. Quantez's favorite color was always blue, and then it became red. And I didn't know why he was asking for all of Michael Jordan items. I knew he loved Michael Jordan, but I didn't know why I was buying the Michael Jordan jacket and shirt. He even had a jacket with his name engraved on it because I thought that was kind of cool. Quantez had 2 book bags. He had a book bag with his books in it. Every day after school, I would make he and his sister take everything out of their book bag so we can work on homework. However, there was a book bag that he also had when he played basketball. But I always told him, take your dirty clothes out, put it in the utility room so we can start, I can start washing and cleaning them. I never looked in that bag. I noticed that a lot of plastic bags, sandwich bags and quart-sized bags were leaving the home, but I wasn't sure why. And one day while I was at work with the Suffolk Police Department, I heard over the police radio that they were bringing in Quantez Russell from Lakeland High School because he was being charged with imitation crack cocaine. I did not know that there was such a thing. And when they brought him in and I first saw my baby with handcuffs, it tore me up. But I asked, could I speak with him? I did speak with him. And he said that's where the baggies were going and that's where the soap was going. So we used to have Irish soap. And he actually cut cubes of soap, placed them in these bags, and sold them at school as if it was crack cocaine. So Quantez had approximately $800 in his book bag that I was unaware of. And I tell parents now, you need to look through book bags. You need to make sure you go into their bedroom, lift the mattresses. Quantez had items under his mattresses. Go through the closets. Make sure that everything is clear and clean. And also look at their notebooks. There's a lot of scribbly things that you think may not matter, but there may be things there that is gang related. And that's when I found out Quantez was involved in a gang. That's why he wanted to wear all red, and things just went down from there. So in 2015, November 11, 2015, Quantez, I got a phone call at 9:04 p.m. from his girlfriend at the time, who told me that she received a call from somebody from Newport News, Virginia, stating that Quantez was shot and possibly unresponsive. I then called Suffolk Police, asked 911 to please get in contact with Newport News because I was on my way there. My husband, my daughter, and I drove there, and police met us at the intersection of Jefferson and 25th Street. They had already looked all over that area that she told me he could have been shot, and they found nobody. They had called all the hospitals in the area. They called dispatch to see if there were any calls, shots fired calls, and there were none. And so they continued to look behind houses and vacant buildings, and they found nothing. So the next morning, I called Suffolk Police Department. I made a police report in reference to Quantez being missing. Still today, my baby is missing. So 7 months later, on Quantez's birthday, July 5th of 2016, I received a phone call while I was at work. The number came up 0000. I answered the phone. Joan Turner speaking, how may I help you? And this person, sounding like a female, told me, I'm not going to tell you who I am. I know that your son was shot twice in the back of the head. They bound his hands and his feet, and they threw him in the James River. Me being CSI, I know if my baby body returns, I know how he would return back to me. And that goes back to your original question about why did I go, what was my goal? My goal was to be a pharmacist. But did God put CSI in my direction so that I could help take care of my baby, knowing that this would happen? I don't know. I didn't know this would happen. But God knows everything. And so God knew this was going to happen. And I just feel deep in my heart that He knew this was going to happen. And that He put me in that position so I would have those questions to ask the detectives about what have you done? Have you checked off this? Have you checked off that? And so that's my goal. My goal now is to share Quantez's story not for myself, but for those who might be going through the same thing that I went through with Quantez growing up, and or going through the tragic death of their loved one. I'm here to talk with them. I'm here to guide them, and just to pray with them. I enjoy what I do. I love to talk, and I love to share his story, because I'm hoping that that will save more lives, especially Black young males. I'm quite sure somebody knows what happened and nobody's speaking. I'm not sure because it could have been gang related. The questions are still out there. But until we find out what happened, I'm gonna still push for the end until God calls my end. The only one that I've heard of that somebody has actually come back and told me, Quantez was on Scared Straight one time when he was incarcerated at the Suffolk jail, Western Tidewater Regional Jail. And it was two little girls. They were a sister and a cousin. The mom took them there and asked that they speak to those that have been incarcerated. And Quantez is on the video screaming at this little girl, telling her, "You're making wrong decisions. Look at me. You're making wrong decisions. My mom is at home crying. Your mom is here trying to help you. You're making the wrong decisions." And when Quantez went missing, that mom wrote me a letter and told me that her daughter had attended ODU University and majored in criminal justice. She said it's because of my son that made her daughter think outside the box, to stop hanging with those that she was involved in her community, and to start making better choices. And so that made me feel a whole lot better, knowing that Quantez's story, even while incarcerated, helped somebody think outside the box and know I need not to make those same decisions, that I need to veer to the left or to the right so that I can make those right decisions. And it was just awesome to receive that call and that letter from her stating that her daughter had graduated from ODU. So now I am the Community Outreach Coordinator for the Suffolk Commonwealth Attorney's Office. And we do a lot of programs within the city, a lot of programs for all ages. And I love doing a lot of programs. Last year alone, we did close to 150 programs and reached out to over 26,000 people. And so majority of those persons that we reached out to, out of that 26,000, over half were youth. And so we were excited to go to majority of the schools here in the city of Suffolk. We actually have a forensic camp that's coming up, and it's always the week after Suffolk Public Schools are out. We're so excited to do that because I get a chance to share my CSI stories, and we give them scenarios that they have to actually process, and then they present those at graduation in front of parents. And we do those. We also talk to the kids about bullying, because when Quantez was 27, he told me that he was bullied in the 7th grade, and that's when his attitude changed. And I did not know because he never told me. And so we talk about anti-bullying, we talk about gangs, we talk about gangs to students 8th through 12th grade, because we see a lot of students start gang banging in the 8th grade, 13, 14 years old, and we want to stop and eradicate those things. So it's really wonderful to be able to share information, even with the senior adults. We talk about elder abuse, we talk about identity theft and scams, and the persons that respond, both male and female, they come out and they really enjoy it, and they have lots of questions. Yes, so orange is the color of stopping the violence. And stop the violence means for anybody who has been killed tragically, we need to stop. We need to stop fighting. We need to stop shooting, stabbing. It all needs to stop. As we continue to kill one another, especially in the Black race. So whenever you wear orange, if you know of anyone who has been killed tragically, think of that, or if not, think of me, and stop the violence. It was so humbling, and it was a shock to receive the phone call. It was a shock to read the email. It was just awesome to know that people are actually looking. I'm not doing this for people to give me any kind of recognition, but it was just awesome to know that someone see what I'm doing, and I'm not doing it for recognition, but I'm doing it to help others throughout the community and abroad. And I want to thank them so much for this opportunity to give me an award. I would definitely hold that close to my heart, and I truly appreciate it.